Hi, this is Todd Olthoff, and welcome to another edition of Screencasts Online. With the recent news that CrashPlan was discontinuing their home backup service to focus more on business backup, we thought it was a good time to take another look at backing up your Mac. Any good backup strategy has redundancy and a combination of local and remote backups to make sure your data is protected. CrashPlan had ways to deal with both, so we thought we would look at some ways to replace what CrashPlan no longer offers. Now, we've done several shows on backing up your Mac, most recently episode 601 earlier this year, so you might want to go back and review that show at some point to see some of the software covered there. In this screencast, we will look at software we haven't covered yet, starting with the online backup service Backblaze. Backblaze has many features to help you manage your backups in the cloud. Its speed of uploading files, many options to restore from your backup, and its new B2 cloud storage option makes it a great online service for your offsite backups. We will also look at an application called Arc, which connects to Backblaze's B2 cloud storage and also offers many ways to back up your data to local and remote drives. From there, we'll take a look at a significant update to Time Machine with a High Sierra release and a way to back up those Time Machine backups in the cloud. So let's get started by taking a look at the installation and setup of Backblaze.